Today, we're going to go over and analyze some key points in this banger of a UFC fight. This is Cory Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. This fight happened back in July of 2021, had major title implications. This was TJ's first fight back after he tested positive for EPO back in 2019, and they gave him Cory Sandhagen off rip, which honestly is a ballsy move, taking someone that good on in your return fight. These are two of the best strikers in the bantamweight division, and honestly, two of the best strikers in the UFC, period. Cory's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and TJ's one of the best bantamweights of all time. This fight was an absolute banger and a must-watch. We're going to break down the way that Cory Sandhagen nullified TJ's attacks, as well as how TJ dealt with that and nullified Cory's attacks. My name is Connor from The Forge, and this is The Hearth, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. When I first watched this fight live back in 2021, I remember scoring the fight for TJ. However, I've watched it since and gone back and forth. This big right hand right there is something that I want to go over. On my shorter video breaking down this sequence between Cory and TJ, I mentioned this, but I'm going to go into further detail this time. Stay back. So as he pressed, Cory starts this whole setup by stepping in and landing a big right hand on TJ. Also, pay close attention to Cory's hips and feet as he steps in. That motion right there is what he's trying to set up for TJ. Cory continues to set this up. This right here is probably the most important part to the big shot that Cory is setting up. Cory now has the read that TJ slips off to the left based on Cory stepping in with his right hand. The read TJ is getting is mainly based off of the hip motion and the foot placement that Cory is doing. As we'll see in a second, Cory sets up TJ once again. This right hand stings TJ and actually almost drops him. Like I said in my original breakdown of this clip, Cory has now thrown this right hand 3 times and has landed it twice pretty hard. TJ now associates that right hand as well as that hip motion and that step in with a right hand. Plus, Cory has now made the read that when TJ slips based on that right hand, he's going to slip to his left. The pieces are all set, and now Cory just has to execute. So, when TJ sees that same exact hip motion, what does he do? Of course, he slips off to his left, but there's no punch. Knee straight up the middle that somehow TJ just eats.
Another knee to a reverse triangle. How about that?
Here is another fun exchange and a great learning tool on how to deal with spin attacks. As I'll go over, the key to countering spin attacks is making your reads. No matter what spin attack is thrown, most of the time it will have a tell. For Cory, in this case, it was a step forward, and TJ saw it coming. For spinning back kicks specifically, the goal is movement. You either want to get all the way in, all the way out, or off to the side. TJ does a little bit of both here and goes in and to his left, stifling Cory. Simultaneously, he's going to the side that shows Cory's back, which allows him to attempt the back take. Cory feels this, makes the adjustment, and immediately goes for the granny roll. Honestly, the key to winning this round for both gentlemen was the scrambles. This next little flurry from TJ might look simple, but it's far from it. He fakes a takedown attempt, which momentarily drops Cory's hand, which allows him to land a bomb of a left hand. In terms of striking exchanges that we can learn from, that's pretty much it for the first round. TJ gets a few more takedowns and does some damage, and actually ends up hurting his knee. TJ got that round, but it was competitive. Next up, we've got a good clip of Cory showcasing which hand to catch kicks with if you're going to. A good rule of thumb when catching kicks like front kicks is either same hand, same leg, or opposite sides. For example, TJ is kicking with his left leg here, and Cory catches it with his left hand. If Cory had misread this and it was a head kick instead of a body kick, and he had used this hand, he would leave his head open and exposed, potentially getting head kicked. Using opposite side hands guarantees you don't leave yourself completely exposed. In this next clip, there are a few great striking lessons from both gentlemen. Cory showcases perfectly here why you need to be able to switch stances. If you cannot switch stances properly, then that means you cannot overload your opponent. If you can't overload your opponent, then you cannot be one step ahead of them. Once again, TJ showcases perfectly what we talked about earlier, which is mixing up your striking with your grappling. He fakes his fake takedown with a left hand up high and then reaches down, again momentarily dropping Cory's eyes, which allows him to land the left hand. The best thing that Cory does here is overload TJ with little shots, which sets up a big shot, which actually drops him. Pay attention to Cory's shoulders here. He's throwing lots of volume, but he's not turning over on any of his punches. Those punches have allowed him to set up on which direction TJ is going to roll, and he uncorks a good left hook that drops TJ. Again, another textbook example of finding your range with punches. With round 2 coming to an end, I think Cory probably won that round. He definitely had the better shots and was overall more successful. Next, we've got a clip that demonstrates how to stifle your opponent and how to work on the fly. Cory's trying to get distance on TJ, so he grabs his right hand not only to get distance, but to also stop TJ from throwing that right hand. With TJ's hand nullified, Cory steps in to throw a right hand, but TJ also steps in and they accidentally clash heads. Cory realizes he's now out of range and decides to scrap the whole thing and just shove TJ away. Sometimes it's best just to shove your opponent away or for you to exit and just start over and reset. This round was much more grappling heavy, however I gave TJ the nod. He had a lot of control and did some good damage both on the feet and on the ground. This is an example of what TJ does so well, being creative while also sticking to the basics. Also, listening to your coaches. If you listen, you can hear TJ's coaches calling for a Superman punch. Although it's an unorthodox strike, TJ immediately throws it, relying on his coaches. The leg kicks he's throwing are simple but effective, and they set up shots. Here, you can hear his coaches say follow it up, and immediately he dives on Cory, getting a body lock.
Nice timing on the takedown there. To create that clinch right when Sandhagen comes in is key, and these are the championship.
Next is a sequence from Cory that demonstrates being smart and crafty while on the back foot.
Big swing and a spin while the final 10 of round
TJ
4.
steps in by throwing a right hand that lands on Cory as he's trying to pull away. Cory does a good job of attempting to counter by measuring distance and then throwing a left hook. However, TJ wasn't there and Cory slightly overcommits, resulting in him being out of position. In the position that he's in, Cory has two options. He can either shoot off to his left and try and exit, or he can throw with his right, which he does, and land flush on TJ. I gave this round to Cory, mainly based off damage done and control. Here's another great example of stifling your opponent and controlling the range while striking. Here, Cory misses a big left hook. However, the part I want to go over is how he turns that left hook into a frame. Used correctly, frames can be extremely valuable. Right now, Cory knows exactly where TJ is. Simultaneously, TJ cannot step directly forward due to that frame being there. It helps set up your counters and it helps adjust to your range. Cory does an excellent job of using that frame to set up a beautiful step and right hand. With how good TJ is, it just slides right by, but nonetheless, the principles still apply. The final sequence I'm going to go over is a beautiful body shot setup from Cory. Here, Cory uses the same wrist grab from earlier. Not only does this physically stifle your opponent, it also gives them another thing to think about. Pay attention to Cory's head and his feet in this next clip. The right hand that Cory throws here, although intended to land hard, is more of a distraction for TJ. Cory sets his head off the center line and throws a nice hook to the body. Getting your head off center line when throwing a left body hook is absolutely paramount. You cannot throw this punch and stand in front of your opponent. Going back and watching this fight over and over again in preparation for this video, I think that Cory won this fight. I think he won more rounds and did more damage. Although they ended up giving the fight to TJ, I don't think either guy is a loser. Neither of their stocks went down. TJ proved that ring rust is not real and that he can still be top tier when coming back. and Cory proved that he can hang with the best of the best through all 5 rounds. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a share. And for all things combat sports, follow The Forge